Well, welcome everyone to our webinar here for July 1 with the leading practice. We're talking today about how we can triple your new patients and double your practice with help from the leading practice. We hope that all of the information we present today is going to be valuable to you today. Our CEO and founder, Michael Smith, is going to start us off and lead us with our webinar. So we'll turn it over to Michael.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. Again, welcome everybody. So nice to have you joining us today. Our webinar, as you know, is how you can triple your new patients and double your practice. Really, this can be applied to almost any business model. Of course, we're really speaking in particular to chiropractors and functional medicine practitioners. Here at the Leading Practice, we work exclusively with that industry. And so if you're here, welcome. We're looking forward to helping you streamline your marketing program and see how you can get some real results. So to get started, let's look at our next slide. And here's some questions we want you to ask yourself as a business owner. What if you receive 30 to 70 trackable new patients every single month? What if you could get that consistently? What if you had an online marketing system that's consistent and predictable instead of maybe a guessing game, depending on how much you're spending? But what if you could stop worrying about your marketing program and just get back to treating patients, helping your customers and clients? Or what if you could establish your practice as a leading practice in your community? You're one of the top ranked on Google. You're getting the bulk of the leads coming in your area. Lastly, what if you could keep your staff's schedule full? We often hear that's a complaint. Maybe the owner's schedule's full, but the other docs are not. So how can you get there? How can you achieve these goals with your marketing program? That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to give away some of the secrets that we use here at the Leading Practice to help our clients accomplish all of these things and more. But to get started, first, I want to address a couple common complaints that Jeff and I often hear from chiropractors and functional medicine practitioners about their marketing program. So Jeff, can you help us out? Can you tell us, as we meet with chiropractors and business owners day after day, week after week, month after month, what are some of the most common complaints that we hear on almost every single call?
Sure, happy to do that. If you notice here on the screen, the first thing that we hear is, I don't like my website. They maybe spent a lot of money on their website, but maybe it's outdated. Maybe it's not modern. Maybe it doesn't allow them to post everything that they want. It might not have live Google reviews coming in. There's a variety of things that we hear complaints about their website, and they think that it's going to be way too expensive to change. Another thing that we hear is marketing takes too much time. As the owner of a practice, I don't have time to worry about SEO and about marketing and email campaign, and there's just too much. That's a second reason or complaint that we hear. We also get this one, we get way too many no-shows. We try to call people ahead and remind them, or we even just get bad leads. People who say that, oh, I don't know where you got my name or number from, and here we invested time in calling them, trying to get them to come in, and there was absolutely no interest. Another one is, my ad campaigns didn't get results. Maybe you tried to run some Google ads, some PPC ads, or even some ads on Facebook. Maybe you invested $500 over a month or so, and you got 0 leads. Why does that happen? We're going to address some of those reasons in our discussion today. And then lastly, there are way too many marketing companies and subscriptions that I have to deal with. I have an SEO guy. I have a website guy. I have a text messaging guy. There's just too many people to deal with. It goes on and on and on. And that just takes up too much of my time. I need something to help me. Those are the 5 top complaints that we hear from chiropractors. So as we go in to our discussion, Michael and I are going to address each and every one of those.
Thanks, Jeff. I was just going to say, put a 1 in the chat if those are some complaints that you've had. You have website issues, you've tried running marketing, you don't know where to start, you're not getting good leads, you're not getting consistent results. Let us know if that resonates with you. It certainly resonates with our clients and those that we speak with day after day. Let's talk about what we're going to cover in this program. So we're going to briefly, and I mean very quickly, go over 8 steps that if you implement them in your business, you apply them to your practice, apply them to your business model, you will triple your new patients and or customers and double your practice. So let's get right into them. First, we're going to break down how you need to build a roadmap for your revenue goals, okay? Establish your revenue, set a goal, and then we'll talk about how you can reach that goal in 6, 9, 12 months down the road for your practice. Next, we're going to talk about how to reach that goal by understanding lead generation and conversion. How can we improve that to get more new patients in the door? Then we're going to hit on high conversion website essentials. So many practices buy websites, as Jeff mentioned, and they're just garbage. Some of them look good, but they don't convert. They don't rank in Google. They don't get you any actual results. So what can you do about that? Next, we're going to talk about how to optimize your ad campaigns. What can set your ads apart from others, and what can increase the conversion rate so that they turn from clicks into actual customers and new patients. Number 5, we're going to talk about how to accept online payments. Yes, I said that out loud. Chiropractors typically think that's an impossibility. We're going to show you some proof that it's not impossible. In fact, it can really help your practice. And number 6 is how you can automate your follow-up campaigns and nurture campaigns so that your marketing becomes a well-oiled, automatic running machine so that you don't have to chase leads and new patients constantly. Number 7 is how we can reactivate your existing database. How many patients have you not seen in the last 30, 60, 90 days, or even years that you haven't reached out to, you haven't communicated with? How can we get them reactivated? We have a solution for that. And lastly, how can you consolidate, as Jeff mentioned, all these different software subscriptions and or marketing companies? If you have an SEO guy, an ad guy, a website guy, a hosting company, and all these different things, how can you consolidate them into one fluent, well-oiled machine that will really run smoothly for you? We're going to talk about the software solution that we recommend. And then if you'd like to stay to the end, we're going to talk about our program as well. Now, we want to invite you to follow along in your workbook. You should have already received this via email, downloaded it. If you didn't, there's the URL. You can even scan the QR code with your mobile phone. And this workbook is a great solution to help you work through analyzing your practice and your marketing program. So download it. As we go through the different slides, you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, there's a workbook page XX. Whatever page number appears there is where you're going to want to follow along in your workbook. Now, if you stay until the end of this presentation, we have some bonuses for you. What do those look like? A few things and then a few more. You're going to get a reward checklist for how to market, things that you need to make sure are being completed for your specific practice. We're going to give you the digital domination method that we use for marketing our program, so you can actually look at all the moving pieces and moving parts and apply them to your practice. Next, we're going to give you handover, swipe and deploy 70 SEO of the top chiropractic keywords that you need to be targeting with your SEO campaigns. And then, of course, you get the workbook, you get a Google ranking breakdown, you get budget planning worksheets, and there's a whole lot more. And if you stay to the very end, we have a special offer for you. It's exclusive to this webinar. It's a deal that we've never offered up to this point, and we probably will not offer again. It's that good of a deal. So you decide if you want to watch to the end and see what that offer is all about. Now let's get right into our next step. And that is, if you're going to achieve revenue goals, you have to have a roadmap to get that revenue. So how can you do that? Well, Jeff is going to walk us through exactly what it takes to build that roadmap and get your pencil and your pen, your workbook ready, because we want you to do a little bit of math with your actual numbers as we walk through these steps, so that when we're done with this section, you have a roadmap, you have revenue goals, and you know exactly what you need to reach those goals.
All right, thanks, Mike. So let's talk about some of those brief steps that'll help you plot your course so you can be successful. The first one is we need to know, what is your actual revenue goal? How do we determine that to make sure that it's realistic? Next, how many new patients is it going to require in order to meet that revenue goal? Those two things are intimately tied together. And then lastly, how many leads are you going to need? Because every lead that you have doesn't automatically convert into a patient. So we're going to calculate how many leads your marketing company needs to generate. So let's start with the first step. Determine your revenue goals. How would we do that? Well, the first thing we need is to determine our annual revenue, and that typically is done over an average of a few years. We suggest at least 3 years. So in our example here, we see some numbers there for 2018, 19, and 20, some variance. Even 2020 with COVID, obviously the numbers went down some. We take the total of all that, we get 2,355,000. So we divide that by 3, and now we have our annual average revenue. And we see why that's important, because if we wanted to say, I wanted to grow by $1 million this year, that wouldn't necessarily be realistic because that is over 100% growth. And typically companies just don't do things like that. What's the next step? Well, now we need to set that target, a reasonable target. For our example, we're going to try to grow aggressively because 2020 was such a hard hit year. We're going to say we want to grow by 30%. Well, that would mean that we want an additional $250,000 in revenue. So we encourage you as we go through this, go ahead and write down your numbers, do the calculation with us so that you can have some good figures to know exactly what your roadmap looks like by the end of this exercise. So how much is that revenue monthly? We take the 250,000, divide that by 12, you come up with $20,833 a month. Okay, now what do we do with that? Well, now we need to know how many new patients are we going to need in order to reach that goal. We know what our total revenue is for the 3 years, our average annual revenue, but what's next? We have to determine our average patient annual value. Basically, on average, for all the patients that we have, how much money is each patient going to spend in the practice each year? So how do we calculate that? We take our gross revenue over those 3 years. We take the total number of different patients, not patient visits, but the different number of people that we've actually provided service to. In our example here, we're going to use 1,112. Now that means when we do the math and we divide that out, 2.3 million divided by 1,112, the patient lifetime value here is $2,118. That basically means that for the lifetime of that patient over 3 years, that is about how much they spend. We divide that by 3 to get the patient annual value, and we come up with $706. Now, what's next? Notice we now have to figure out how many new patients is going to be required in order to meet our goal. So we take our monthly revenue goal, 20,833, we divide that by our patient annual value, the $706, and we come up with the answer. We need 29 new patients each month, at least, in order to reach our goal of a revenue increase of $250,000. But not every new patient, or not every lead is a new patient. So how do we determine how many leads we need to generate from the variety of different sources that they come from? The way we do that is, let's get the screen here to refresh, but we have to look at what our average conversion rate is. So when a lead comes in, let's say you have of 100 leads that would come in, how many of those actually convert into being a new patient? For our scenario here, we're going to use 60%. Yours may be higher or lower. We encourage you to use your number. So what does that mean for the calculation? We take the number of new patients needed, in our example, 29, and we divide that by our conversion ratio. So if it's 60%, that means that we divide by 0.6. If your conversion ratio is lower, let's say it's only 40%, you would divide by 0.4. If we take 29 divided by 0.6, we see that we need then 48 leads a month in order to convert into 29 patients. 48 leads at a 60% conversion rate gets 29 new patients. That will earn us $250,000 based on our reasonable revenue goal. So a good marketing company is going to present a plan that consistently will drive 48 new leads every single month and gets 29 new patients out of those 48 leads. But a great marketing company is going to do more. They're going to increase your conversion rate. So instead of getting you 60% conversions, they might drive it up to 65, 70, maybe even 80%. A great marketing company is going to have automatic follow-up with all of your patients, with all of your leads, to make sure that not just 48 new leads come in, but let's drive that number even higher. And then also, what are they going to do to decrease no-shows? A little bit later in our program, we're going to see how important just one patient visit is. So hopefully that information was informative to you. But when we think about driving revenue, driving patients, it all starts with the leads and converting those leads. So Michael, we'll give it back to you. How do we do that in an effective way so that we can drive on our roadmap and meet our goal?
Thanks, Jeff. So now that we have our assessment, we've got our numbers, we know what our goals are, we know how many leads we need, we know how many new patients we need. The next question is, how do you get them? Is it possible? Do we have to sit back and wait for those leads to just magically appear, come in the door, magically wait for business to show up, hope that it does? The answer, no. We're going to walk you through exactly how to generate and convert leads, some of the practices that we use to be effective with our clients. Now, first of all, though, important thing to realize, marketing has evolved. The question is, have you evolved with it? Have you changed your marketing strategy? What are some examples of how marketing has changed? One, the hope. My practice is going to be supported on patient referrals. The reality, you don't have enough positive reviews. So yes, you get the referral, they go online, they check you out, and they only see 3 reviews, and they go, nah, this guy's got 100. I'm going to go with somebody else. You lose the referral. Radio and newspaper ads. Well, we hope that those convert. The reality is today, limited audience, right? We might get some that are in the older age bracket, if any at all. The audience is so much lower. Our website's going to magically give us more clients. Why? Because it looks great. Well, the reality is it probably isn't optimized if you're not running an SEO campaign, and it may not be optimized for conversion. So one or two things is happening. Either it's not coming up in Google for the right keywords, or number two, they are landing on your website, but they can't figure out what action to take, and they end up leaving with such a short attention span that people have today. Last, social media, it's going to convert. And if I'm posting on Facebook and Instagram, well, I'm going to somehow get more new patients. The reality is, check your social media account, look at your Facebook posts. Do you have likes, comments, and shares? If not, the answer is most likely very few, if any, people are actually even reading those posts. It's probably just your staff members, probably just maybe family members. Those are not going to convert into new patients. Lastly, so many say, I don't need digital marketing. I've run my practice for years. Reality is, your competitors are using it, and they're getting all of your patients because that's where people are. They're on Google, they're on social media, and that's how they find the chiropractors and functional medicine practitioners that they want to work with. So how does lead generation work when it comes to digital marketing? Well, this really depicts the basic flow. Maybe you've heard of the term funnel before. This is a lead funnel. So at the top of the funnel, what do we see? Well, the more entry points that we drive those leads, represented by the little circles, into the funnel, the more we are most likely to get them and turn them into new patients. So by doing social media marketing, Google traffic, automated follow-up, patient referrals, and we're going to talk about a few more on the next slide. By doing all of those things, we can flow them in, work with them, nurture them to book an appointment or pay, even pay online. But the reality is, even if you have a good lead generation program, generating leads is not enough. What else is needed in order to convert them into new patients? Well, let's talk about that in just a minute. But first, let's talk about how lead generation works before we move into lead conversions. So lead generation is really that entry point, right? That's where leads are coming through. Here's a list of different options. So you have your website. If it's set up correctly, you have click to call phone number. If you're doing SEO, you might get some leads through that. If you have a website chat bot or chat widget, you're probably going to get some leads through that. Google My Business, if it's optimized, Google Ads, Facebook ads, email campaigns, social media posts, and there's a few other channels that we could say that will bring you new leads. The question is, how many of them are you currently implementing? How many things on this list are part of your marketing program and marketing campaigns? Why is it important? Well, here's the reason why. It has to do with the lead source breakdown. Here's a typical average of what we're seeing with our clients of where these leads are most likely coming from. So only 17% are really coming from a website. 9% come through the chat widget, 22% from Google My Business, 11% from Google Ads, 32% from Facebook ads and Instagram ads, 6% from email campaigns, and 3% from social media posts, if any. So here's the question is, how many of these lead magnets are you using? And if you're not, then how many leads are you missing out on because you're missing those elements of lead driving sources that could be bringing you more leads? Even a more important question is, how much revenue is that costing you? Well, depending on how much each new patient is worth, based on the calculation Jeff just walked us through, you could be losing a lot of revenue, huge percentages of potential leads because your marketing program is not complete. It's not a well-oiled machine. Now, there's a bigger problem though, because once you get the leads and you have all these lead magnets working, those leads still have to turn into patients. What's the biggest problem that we see in the industry? The biggest marketing issue that chiropractors face is unconverted leads, right? So they might even try these different lead campaigns, they bring them in, but they don't have a process to convert them. Jeff, how is that impacting their practice? What's the big problem with unconverted leads? Explain that to us.
That is a great, great question. And like you mentioned, a huge, huge problem for almost every practice that we deal with. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The problem is that 50 to 60% of leads that come in leave unconverted. You spent all this money on ads, on all this automation, and then they don't convert. What a waste. And it's interesting to know that web forms, which is a form that you have on your website where you try to get their information, to try to maybe even get them to schedule an appointment, they failed to convert. They visited it. The person maybe even filled it out, but then they never actually come in. They never ever show up and become a patient. Why is that? Well, before we discuss how to fix it, let's talk about how much revenue is lost, and we'll show how important just one of those leads is. Let's take do some simple math. Let's say we take 100 leads. You get 100 leads in a month. If you do not follow up with that lead right away, your conversion rate might be as low as 30%. You might be losing half of all of your leads. So if you have 100 leads and only convert 30%, that's only 30 new patients. Well, 30 new patients at that lifetime patient value, remember what we calculated before in our example? In our example, it was $2,118. So that means 30 new patients, we made $63,540 in revenue from those 30 patients. But statistics show that when we have automated follow-up, and follow-up that's done well, that's done right away, that conversion rate can double, even go higher. And what we've seen is it can be even as high as 70%, which means that there are 70 new patients. And when we do the math, $148,260 in revenue. What is that? What's the difference? How much money was lost? $84,720 in lost revenue, all because we did not convert the person. And what are some of the main reasons as to why that happens? The solution is we need to have automated follow-up within 5 to 10 minutes of when the person first contacts you or asks a question. Why is that important? Well, they might ask a question such as, how much do you charge? When are you open? What's your address? What types of services do you offer? Now, they may have sent that in a text, in a Google My Business post, through Facebook, through email, a variety of different sources. If you don't reply right away, what do you think they'll do? What would you do? Have you ever done that with somebody else? What happens? If you don't get a response right away within a few minutes, you go somewhere else and you just lost that lead, that potential new patient. So with having an automated system that contacts that person, reaches out to them, not just once, but up to 3 to 5 times right away, that's what is required in order to get them to convert and to book an appointment. It's very, very simple. It's relatively easy to do and set up, but it is absolutely crucial that it be there and work properly. So what's the next takeaway that we have with all of this? That an automated conversion system, it's not nice to have. It's not, oh, I wish I could have it. It is essential to have. If you are going to triple the amount of new patients your practice sees and to double the revenue of your practice, there is simply no other way around it. This is one piece that you do not want to miss out. Now, we talked about converting leads into new patients. One of the ways that we do that is with our website. And we've already talked about that was one of the biggest concerns of most people that we talk about. They don't like their website. So, Michael, can you help us to understand what makes a website a good website that converts?
Absolutely, Jeff. So thanks for running us through that and importance of conversion and automated follow-up. And as we talk about websites that convert, we're going to go through this pretty quickly. There's a whole lot we could talk about with websites. With our program, we focus on doing all of it so that we really are conversion-based. We're very focused on that. If you want details, go to pages 13 through 15 of your workbook, and you'll see a nice list and an example of a high converting website. We want to make sure that all of those elements are there. But here are some essentials that you really need to have in place if you want your website to convert and to rank in Google. Number one, you got to have fast website performance, okay? So it's got to be quick loading and mobile and as well as desktop. We're going to run you through an exercise on that in just a minute. You got to have professionally written, optimized content for services and areas. Many are doing blog articles and all these other things that really don't convert anybody. They just attract researchers. You got to have live Google reviews on your site, not just testimonials, because no one trusts those anymore. They don't know where they come from. You got to have clear calls to actions, a nice user flow for the user to take action, book an appointment, buy something, sign up, whatever that is. You got to have automated follow-up. So once they do that, we don't want that lead to just go to somebody's email that may not check it for a couple of days, or maybe ends up in spam. Well, who knows if that gets followed up on. You got to have automated follow-up, and a chat widget or a chat bot, even better, will help you with that. Again, you can look at the workbook for more details, but let's do a quick workshop exercise. So we're going to invite you to go to, first of all, to gtmetrics.com, okay? GTmetrix is a well-known website performance tool, and we're going to invite you to go there, and this is what you should see. GTmetrix, I'm going to pull it up here so you can see it on my screen. And basically, you're going to type in your website address, okay? So whatever that may be. I'm going to use one of our clients, SF Custom Cairo. This is a website that we host and manage for them. We've optimized for performance. And then just once you type in your URL, go ahead and click test your site. gtmetrics.com is what you're going to type in. Put in the website address in the search box. Do a quick scan, and it will tell you what your GTmetrix grade is. Now, ideally, you'd love to see a green A like what we have here, 100% performance, 100% structure. That means that this website is optimized to perform well. So Google's going to rank you very high when it comes to performance scoring, and that's important for getting Google rankings. Okay, so if you're getting something like what we found here with one of our prospects that we're cultivating, doing some research. Again, this is a big company. They've got an E, a score bordering on an F, and performance is just really not good, right? So Google, especially this year, is going to really ding hard on low performance. So that's important. Make sure that your performance is up. Fast web hosting, there's a number of things you can do to increase performance on your website. Ultimately, it has to be designed properly to load quickly from the ground up. Now, for homework, we've also provided in your workbook on page 15 a nice little website checklist so you can go through and just analyze your website, see what are the top items that you need to address, highest priority, and make a check of what you need to do, what is done, what needs to be done, and how you're going to implement it. Now, let's take a little bit of time and talk about SEO, or search engine optimization. Now, here's the 3 top things that we really need to be aware of when it comes to SEO. There's no need to be overwhelmed with all the little nuances. Yes, they all have to be addressed, but ultimately it comes down to this. You got to use the correct keywords. You got to have the right kind of traffic, and you got to have the right kind of content in order to get good search results. So one thing that will help you do that is the top 70 keywords that we're going to give you at the end of this webinar for the chiropractic niche. Now, once you've got these things done and optimized, you should be getting good search results. So what do we mean by that? Well, let's do a test. Let me show you exactly how you would check your own Google rankings right now with your own website, okay? Now, the way that you do that is you open what's called an incognito window, okay, or in private browsing window. Click the three dots in the upper right corner, and then you're going to click New Incognito Window. Once you've done that, you should see this kind of guy with glasses and a hat, and it says you've gone incognito. Once you've done that, what we want you to do is just do a simple Google search, and we're going to search for the service and then the location that you're in. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick search for chiropractor, and let's do San Francisco. So again, the very basic search term that a client would typically type in to find your service. So right here, we can see 1,600 searches a month, roughly. And where do you show up in the search results for your city or your service in your city? See, are you in the Google Map Pack? You can see right here that our client, SF Custom Chiropractic, they've got the most number of reviews. They're listed there in number 2. They kind of bounce around in the Google Map Pack. A good portion of searchers land there. And then they also bounce between 1 and 3 in the natural results for these keywords. Are you in that top 3? Are you in the Google Map Pack? Do you have an ad? Does your website show up, or are you down on page 2, 3, 4, 5, or even lower? If so, you're not getting any traffic. So do that search. Got to be incognito so your Google's not tracking you, and then you're going to see the results. Now, how do we take that and then optimize it into getting you the absolute most traffic that you can get within your market for your business? Here's an example. This is a Google search for chiropractor in a town in Washington called Bothell. There's about 430 searches per month. And my question is, who's getting the most traffic in this search result, right? So if you were looking at this Google search page, you'd see the ads at the top, the Google Map Pack, and then the organic search as the page continues to flow down. So as you look at that, does any of those practices stand out to you as being the first one that might get clicked, get the most traffic? Well, let me help you out. What do you notice about Kaufman Chiropractic? Did you notice that they appear on there 4 times in the first page of Google? Well, statistically, what does that tell us? Well, we could do simple math to just find that out. Statistically, 14% will click on an ad, 35% will click on the map pack, and about 50% will click on the Google organic ranking results. What's the bottom line? The bottom line is that Kaufman Chiropractic is in all of those spots. So that means they're getting slices of all 3 of that percentage of clicks. Well, that's going to increase the traffic that goes to their website. And if their conversion mechanism is set up correctly, they're getting the bulk of the traffic for that keyword. Now, that's what we set up for our clients. That's what we recommend doing for you if you want to get the most out of your Google ranking. But Google ranking is not the only way to get traffic. You can also run PPC or Google Ads and Facebook ads. So Jeff, can you tell us what the problem is with Facebook ads and Google ads that many of our clients tell us that they've run into?
Sure, absolutely. And maybe you have actually said these things yourself. They just don't work. There's some reasons why. They might be too generic. They might be showing just a picture with no explanation. There could be a variety of reasons they're not specific enough. We need to answer questions like, what is in the offer? Why would I want to take advantage of that offer? Another point is that the offer is not clear. Is it obvious to the person what the offer actually is? We're going to look at an example a little bit later. And is it easy for me to claim the offer? Is it just 1 or 2 clicks, or do I have to jump through a bunch of hoops in order to do that? The third reason is poor audience targeting. We have to think about what type of patient or person would be interested in this offer and direct that offer just to them so that we spend our money wisely. And then lastly, there's no automated follow-up. We talked about that earlier. See, there are certain things that are going to try to influence a person not to show up. We need to circumvent that to make sure that they do. Now, here's one of the examples about the message. Here's a bad example there on the left. New patient special, book your appointment today. It's snazzy, it's bright. But look at the good example there on the right side of the page. We see a picture of of what's going to happen. We see the change in price from $110 to $69. Man, that's a great deal. That's almost 50% off. And then notice underneath, new patient special offer. It includes the patient exam, adjustment, x-rays, custom treatment plan, and 20% off the first massage. Now that's a good deal. Do you see the difference between the two different ads and why one is so much better than the others? So messaging is important. What about this? Are they all getting the same ad? Notice the person right in the middle. What's his problem? He has arthritis. So if we send an arthritis ad and we target that off, if we don't limit the people that it goes to, it's going to go to a mom who's pregnant. It might go to a young musician. It might go to a marathon runner. They probably don't have arthritis. We've just wasted our money. So what's the solution? The messaging, the offers. The audience must be hyper targeted to be matching the specific interests, the demographics, and the needs of each individual patient. Another thing that's important to make sure when we do PPC ads and Facebook ads, where do people go when they click? A lot of times, people are just directed to your website. And if it's a poorly converting website, that makes it even worse. And then the lead, which you paid for, is now unconverted. It's a waste of ad spend. How do we fix that? We want a good experience. So when they click the ad, they may go to an optimized landing page or lead form. It allows them to book an appointment right there. It may even include a chat widget that if they have questions, they can ask right away. And a great way to do that is with a system that tracks all of that. It puts all the conversations together in one spot. We like the MyDC system because it has automated follow-up. We'll be talking about that a little bit later as to why it's so beneficial. This is an excellent example of how to make those ads convert. So we have all of these lead magnets. We have all of these funnels that grab everybody's information. Where do they go? What's the goal? We need to get them to book an appointment and even pay online. There's a lot of things that go into that, and the right marketing company can help you out with that. Now, I said it too. People pay online. Mike, can we really get patients to pay online ahead of their appointment? Help us out with that.
Absolutely, Jeff. And what's funny about that is, as you know, every time we bring this up on a strategy session with a practice owner, that we're getting to know, their jaws drop and say, that's not possible. My patients would never pay online. We just don't do that in our industry. Let's take a quick poll. How many of you feel your patients would not pay online? We'll ask Audra to go ahead and put the poll up, and we'd love to get your votes on that. How many of you feel your patients would not pay online? Go ahead, and we'll just take about 30 seconds and we'll let you vote and see what you think. Again, it's just a simple yes or no. Do you feel like your patients would pay online, or do you feel like they would resist that, maybe be confused, it makes you nervous, mess up your billing system? What are your thoughts? Just about another 10 seconds or so. Okay, I see votes coming in. So far, the vast majority is saying no, you don't think your patients would pay online. Well, that's pretty typical for what we would get. What's the answer? Why don't I just show you the proof, okay? If you're familiar with the online transaction system, probably the most popular one online is called Stripe.com. That's used by many merchants. It's very secure, very safe. If you're familiar with that, you recognize these results because this is the Stripe dashboard. This is for one of our chiropractic clients. And what do you see in the list? Well, you see all the payments. These are all real transactions. These are real payments made by real patients who really paid online. They did so in advance of their appointment. They did so when they booked. And in some cases, you see that the dollar figure was dropped. We gave them a little incentive. You save a little bit of money if you pay online in advance. Well, guess what that does? It number one, eliminates some billing hassles and issues. Number two, it prevents no-shows, right? Because who's going to go pay for an appointment and then not show up? Well, if I've already paid, I'm much more motivated to show up for an appointment. What a great solution if built properly that could be implemented into your practice. Now, how do we accomplish that? Well, again, we're going to now move into talking about the benefits of automated follow-up and nurture campaigns. So we've been touching on this throughout our whole presentation, but specifically, what are the benefits and how does it work? Let's get right into it. So my first question to you is, how do you follow up? Maybe we can get some comments in the chat. How do you follow up with your patients? Do you have a practice manager, someone in the office that text messages them, calls them, reminds them of their appointment at a certain time of day? And it looks like that's what we're seeing come in. Yep. So you have someone in the office that does it. Very good. And so that's really the typical way to do it, right? Maybe you have an ERM that does just one simple appointment reminder, but it's not two-way communication. And so here's the question though. What if a lead comes in, lands on your website, clicks an ad, does something, but doesn't book an appointment? They view your social media, they're out there, but you don't know who they are, and they haven't actually taken action. Another question, what if a patient doesn't show? You ever deal with no-shows? One of the most common complaints that we get is patients not showing. They booked, but they didn't make it, and they don't respond to calls or text message. Lastly, what if a patient doesn't return for follow-up visits and maybe 30 days, 60 days, 90 days go by? Do you have anything in place, an automated process to follow up with those leads, patients, and make sure that they come back into your practice to nurture them without having it fall on the doctors and the practice managers? Well, probably not. What do we recommend? We recommend this. It's an automated follow-up workflow system. Now, again, this is just a graphic depiction of an example of something that we use where the new lead comes in. Then we create a contact. We capture their name, email, phone number, their information, so we can then reach out to them. Then we send them an email. If they book an appointment, great. Now we move them to appointment reminders. If they don't book an appointment, they get nurtured to book an appointment with emails, text messages, offers, even discounts if needed. All automated, all running behind the scenes so that you don't have to spend the time chasing them. Once they've had their appointment and they don't show, they don't respond, well, guess what? We automatically nurture them. We try to get them to give you a review on your business if they had a good experience. And then we try to nurture them to do a follow-up visit. The end result is, again, you start to see how these lead magnets bring leads in. You've got a nice wide net to catch all these potential patients. You've got a great system that they land on and then will flow into so that they will book and pay online. And then we follow up with them using the MyDC software. And we're going to talk more about that in just a minute. But first, how can you increase revenue without getting any new patients? Jeff, can you help us out with that?
You know, normally when we talk about that, we get confused looks from doctors. Wait, we're going to increase revenue with no new patients? How is that possible? It's interesting. The simple way is by reactivating your database. Let's come on down here. So we want to reactivate your inactive patients. Those are our patients that came in maybe 3, 4, 5 times, maybe even for a year or two, and then for some reason they stopped coming in. So here's a question for you. How many inactive patients do you have in your database? Think about it. We've had doctors say that we have 10,000, 14,000 inactive patients in their database. What about this? When was the last time you reached out to them? How do you do that? Is it worth it? How much revenue are you losing by not engaging your inactive patients? Let's do the math and see what the possibilities are. So here's the question. What if we increase each patient's visit by just 1 visit each calendar year? So all of your patients, 1 visit. Let's say we have 2,145 patients. The gross revenue, this is from our example before, 2.3 million. You divide that by the total number of visits that were seen by those 2.1 thousand, and we see that we have an average visit cost of $32.77. Okay, now what happens? We take our total number of patients, we increase their visits by 1. So that means we have 2,145 new visits times the average cost of visit, $32.77. What does that get us? That gets us revenue of $70,291.65. Now, those are current patients, having them come in just one extra time a year. But what if you had 10,000 inactive patients and you were able to get even half of them coming in? It's amazing. The number of extra revenue is phenomenal. No increase in new patients. You didn't, or in this example, no increase in new patients. There's no extra overhead. You don't have to pay your staff or your doctors any more money. They're still there. There's no increased payroll for you. There's no increase in marketing fees. So $70,000, where does it go? Pretty much right to the bottom line. How much golf would that pay for? An amazing way to increase your revenue without hardly any extra costs. So reactivating those patients is crucial. So what's the key takeaway? Get the slide to advance here. We need an automated system to reactivate those people, because having somebody in your office call them or physically send a text or an email just isn't going to be productive. You need an automated system that can reach out to all of them, even in drip mode, so those inactive patients can come back, increase your visits, and that increases revenue to your practice. So our next question that we often hear is, I have so many different pieces of marketing that I have to deal with, and it is expensive. How do I handle that? Is there any way to fix that? Mike, what do you think?
Absolutely, Jeff. And thanks for sharing that value on reactivating the patients. Now, when it comes to software subscriptions, if you're like me, maybe you sometimes have shiny thing syndrome, right? Somebody reaches out to you with a software and they say, hey, if you use this to market your business, you're going to get and grow your business using that tool. And what's the result? Well, the result is, if we're actually doing all the pieces, right, all the different moving parts that we've been discussing with your marketing program, you have all these software in place and you're using them, right? You have an email marketing software that's already ready to go, something like MailChimp. That comes at a cost. You have a text messaging system. That's expensive. You have a website chat. Many are using DearDoc. Well, that's a whole nother cost. You have Demandforce for managing reviews or some other review management tool. You have appointment booking if you're taking appointments online, requests. You have CallRail for tracking or some other system. Then you got website, you got landing pages, you got funnels if you're using them properly, and then you got local listing. Well, all that adds up to as much as $1,200 or more a month just in software. That doesn't include the marketing services. That's just the software that you need in order to market your business. So here's an exercise for you. Go to page 5 of your workbook and complete the subscription evaluation page. And we'll just take a moment, write down all the different types of software that you're using in your practice that you use for marketing. Email, SMS, landing pages, your website. And then just next to that, write down the cost. How much are you spending on that every month or every year? And then we're going to talk about the solution. So make sure you write all those down, add up the total cost, see what that's running you. And then we're going to talk about ways that we can save you some money on just your software subscription for marketing. What is the solution? Well, the solution that we like is called MyDC. It's an all-in-one marketing solution, and it helps chiropractors do all those different things for a much lower price point, right? It accomplishes all the same things that all those tools do, only it rolls them all into one spot, one software, one low monthly fee, and it does all the same marketing steps that are required in order to properly market your business. So what are some of the features? One, it's a complete CRM. There's two-way communication, not just one-way text messaging, but two-way business text messaging, Facebook messaging, Google My Business messaging, you name it messaging. It all flows in and ties in this one tool, so you don't have to jump around to message your patients or customers that try to reach out to you. You have a website chat widget all built in that connects and allows your patients to text your practice from your website chat widget, and you can respond to them. Has email marketing, review generation, review management, landing pages, online payment system, all integrated into one really cool tool, as well as provides analytics. So you can see at any given time how well your ads are performing, how many leads you're getting, what stage is a patient in, when they're moving through your practice, as well as appointment booking. I didn't mention that yet. So really, it's fully featured. So what's the price point? How much is this going to cost me? Well, a better question is, how much is this going to save you? If you're already spending somewhere around $1,000 or $1,200 a month, what if we drop that price down to $297 a month, and we rolled everything in to one tool that would do everything for you? Well, using this example, that's a savings of $900. That's $900 cash that you can put back into either your marketing program, your marketing investment, or some other aspect of your practice. Why waste it on software that you just don't need? So let's recap. What were the 8 steps that you need to double your practice and triple your new patients? Do you remember? Number 1, building a roadmap. First, you got to know what your practice revenue is doing. You got to set the goals, and you got to figure out how many new patients and leads that's going to require to get there. Next, you need to understand lead generation and conversion. Do you have all of the lead magnets in place to bring in as many leads as possible? And then do you have a system to convert them into patients or customers? Number 3, do you have a high conversion website? Do you have all the things needed to use your website as a hub to convert new patients? Do you have optimized ad campaigns, or are you still using a company or running ads that runs the same boring ads with no conversion system that gets you just a few patients in the door every month? Why not optimize them and get a lot more for your buck? Have you enabled your online payment system? Maybe that blew your mind. I can't believe you can actually pay online, get patients to pay online in advance. Well, reality is, if you decide to do that, you certainly can. Do you have an automated follow-up and nurture campaigns ready to go? Again, we recommend MyDC. It's the best and easiest solution to get all that to happen. Number 7, reactivating your database. How many patients haven't you communicated with? Can you reach out to them, get them re-engaged? Number 8, what about consolidating software subscriptions? Can we get back $800, $900, $1,000 a month to then roll into a better performing marketing system? Well, if you do all of that, you're going to see your practice grow. Now, we have some rewards for those of you that have stuck around for this entire webinar. What are they? Well, we highlighted them earlier, but here's how you can get them. The URL is at the bottom, or you can scan the QR code. It will take you right to the folder. Feel free to download them. The website is go.theleadingpractice.com and then /rewards. So again, you can use your mobile device, scan the QR code if you like, and or type in the URL, take a picture, write it down, download them later, totally up to you. But take advantage of those handouts. Those contain the same things that we implement for our clients to get them the results that we talked about during our webinar. Now, question, how do you feel after considering all these things? Do you feel like, hey, I'm a marketing rock star. I know everything that I need to do now to get my marketing program going, and I'm ready to get started? Or do you feel like this guy in number 2? I need help. I didn't know I had to do all these things to get results. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a functional medicine practitioner. I'm a business owner. My main focus is to treat patients. I know I need to be doing all these things, but I don't have the time, the energy, or desire to really dive into doing all these things. Well, if that's the case, we have a special offer for you. Now, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you only want to run your own marketing program, you are just here to get the value, feel free to drop off this call, okay? No need to continue on. So far, this has been a no-pitch webinar, but now we're going to give you a special offer for those who want it done for them. So remember, what if you receive 30 to 50 tracked new patients every month? Not leads, patients. What if you had an online marketing system that is consistent and predictable and is run for you? What if you could stop worrying about your marketing and get back to treating patients? Stop spending your lunch, stop spending your early morning, your evenings, your weekends, chasing your marketing company and trying to figure it all out, and just get back to treating patients and enjoying your leisure time? What if you could establish your practice as the leading practice in your community and keep all of your staff's schedules full? What if you could do all of these things without having to do any of it? In other words, what if it was all done for you? Well, that's what we're going to discuss. That's the leading practice marketing engine. Okay, that's what we built. That's the program that we offer for our clients. What does it involve? Well, in short, it involves everything. It's an all-in-one marketing program that's designed to get you a return on your investment. What does it include? A new conversion optimized website. We do SEO and link building. We include reputation management to make sure you're getting regular 5-star reviews. We manage your pay-per-click and Facebook ad campaigns to optimize them for conversions to make sure that they're driving new patients in the door. We do cross-platform retargeting so that patients don't slip through the cracks and disappear. We do a website chat widget that we put on your website to increase conversions on your website. We give you a complimentary license of MyDC, chiropractic CRM. We also do automated follow-up, and we include analytics and tracking so that you can see exactly where your leads are coming from and what kind of return on investment you're getting from a marketing program. Now, the question is, does this program really work? Maybe you've seen this pitch before and you're thinking, yeah, I'm already doing all that stuff, but it's not getting me results. If that's the case, it's because it's not being done correctly. It's not a well-oiled machine. What should you expect to see if you're working with our program? Well, here's a real example. This is a real client, Dr. Clayton Ellswick. He's in Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky. He's been practicing over 30 years. What's his ROI for last month? Well, he spent $3,500 in marketing during May, including ad spend, right? So that's his total budget for the month of May. We converted 35 new patients for him using that marketing program, right? So more than tripled his patients that he was getting prior to working with us. He earned $75,000 in lifetime patient revenue. So what kind of ROI is that? Well, if you do the math, it's over 2,000% return on investment. Was that a wise decision for him? Absolutely. That's why he upgraded this month. What about another one? Let's look at Dr. Adam Jacobs, SF Custom Chiropractic. He is currently the #1 chiropractor in San Francisco. We showed you an example of his Google rankings earlier. Practicing for over 30 years. He spent a little more, $5,000 in marketing ad spend, converted over 74 new patients in May, and he earned $162,000, almost $163,000 in lifetime patient revenue. What's the ROI? 3,200% return on investment. Was that a smart use of spending that $5,000? Well, Dr. Jacobs would tell you absolutely. Why? Well, because before he started signing with us, his business was in a rough spot. He was down in revenue, he was struggling, and he bit the bullet and invested a significant amount of money into his marketing campaign, hoping for a return. Did it work out for him? Let's let him tell you on this video. So I'll let you watch it now.
Hi, I'm Dr. Adam Jacobs of SF Custom Chiropractic. Prior to 2020, my business was booming. Everything was going really well. Pandemic hit. We took about 25% reduction in our collections and business. So I wanted to start off 2021 with up the game in my marketing, and decided to look out. And I found the leading practice, who has been great so far, 3 months in, and last month we had our best month in a couple years. So I love that they have a dashboard that has all the different leads that come into it, and we can communicate easily with possible clients and our existing clients. I love that the communication with the leading practice itself is very easy to do, and they're accessible, and they listen to my goals that I'm trying to achieve and ideas that I might bring to the table. And so far, so good, and would recommend them to anybody that has a small business looking to grow, either in the healthcare field or whatever else. And so thanks so much, Leading Practice. Appreciate your help.
Well, thanks, Dr. Jacobs. So what's the reality? Well, if you have a marketing program that's done for you, this is you. This is your view right here. You're not worried about your marketing. You're getting back taking vacations. you're getting back to enjoying your leisure time without having to spend time on your phone, on your laptop, chasing your marketing program. So what's a special offer that we have for you who stayed till the end of this webinar? And what are we going to offer you as a reward for this program? First, you get a complimentary marketing audit. Second, you save $950 on a new website. That's a huge discount. Third, you get a complimentary lead funnel design, all built in. We're going to throw that into the package. Fourth, we're going to save you $1,200 on a MyDC app annual subscription, right? So it's a huge savings. You're going to save $3,000 in setup fees because we're just making those go away. And then you're going to get 500 free SMS credits to send text messages to your patients, as well as 5 free call tracking numbers. And what's the result? Over $5,000 in savings calculated over the 12-month term. So if you're interested in taking advantage of that offer, again, we've never offered anything like that. How can you do that? Well, you have to sign up before July 15th for at least 6 months with our program. And if you do that, there's no contract, no commitment long-term beyond that, but sign up for 6 months, sign up before July 15th, and you're going to save a ton of money on our marketing program. So how can you claim this special offer? Well, easy. Scan the QR code or go to the web URL that we have there on the page, go to the leadingpractice.com/schedule, schedule your coaching call and mention this webinar. If you do that, we will then honor that discount that we're offering, honor that special program offer, and we can help you get your marketing off to a good start. Now, what can you expect during our coaching call? Well, really, it's just to get to know you and your practice a little bit better. One, you're going to learn more about we're going to learn more about your practice and your revenue goals. We're going to make sure that we're a good fit to work together, right? Not everyone is. We're going to analyze your current marketing strategy, what is working, what isn't working, and let's not disrupt anything that's working, but let's improve the stuff that is not. We're going to build a tailored marketing plan to help you move your practice forward to the next level. And ultimately, you're going to start getting 30 to 70 new patients in about 4 to 8 weeks. Now, that's just what we see on average with our clients. So that's a 400% minimum return on your investment. As we showed you, we have examples, much higher return on investment, but at least we're looking to give you a 400% ROI. So what are you waiting for? Schedule a free coaching call. Get booked up. Go ahead and take a moment, book some time to meet with Jeff or myself, and let us talk to you about your practice. Let us assess and help you diagnose, set your revenue goals, and build a marketing plan that's going to work for you. If you do that, well, we're confident that your practice is going to grow. If it's in our hands, we're going to help you get there and reach your revenue goals. So again, thanks for coming. We appreciate all of you being here. So glad you could join us. And thank you, Jeff, for a great job presenting today. And I want to give a quick shout out to Audra, who's on our marketing team, did a phenomenal job with putting this presentation together on short notice. And so we really appreciate that very much. And we look forward to speaking with you in person. So thanks so much for joining our webinar. Have a great rest of the week.